What's up? This is Tom. This is my boy Sam.
Yo,
We're jumping on the fucking bandwagon of everyone starting a podcast to talk about whatever the fuck they want to, and we're gonna have a Bears podcast.
of course.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna call this the Bear Cave. Um, we might change that later on, and you'll find out. But yeah, this is gonna be episode one. We're gonna try to make this a weekly thing. We might have another guy joining us later on. But Sam, introduce yourself. Why are you a Bears fan? Um, who's your favorite player? Um, Shit like that, bro.
Yeah. I'm Sam. I'm a Bears fan, of course. Like, grew up around the city. Uh, my grandpa has season tickets, so I go to about one or two games every year. That's like why I really love them. I already went to two games this year. Won both of them, Titans and Rams. So good times. I'd say my favorite player right now on this current team is Jalen Johnson.
Ooh,
He's awesome.
that's a good
My
choice.
favorite player, my favorite player all time though, Alshon Jeffrey. Gotta
Okay.
be. I mean, because like he was the man when I was 13, dude. Like he was absolutely the man at like the peak of like I just became a Bears fan, and some of his catches all time are just crazy. He's the man all time for me. Obviously, showing my age, 'cause I'm pretty young. Wasn't really around for the Urlacher years.
Hmm.
I think anyone like 5 years older than us would say Urlacher or like
Yeah.
Hester. But like I really became a fan right after that era. So Alshon Jeffrey's like my guy all time.
Okay. Um, yeah. So that's yours. I'm Tom. I know you said like people 5 years older than us would like Hester, but my favorite player, Devin Hester. One of my very first memories is remembering watching the Super Bowl and just um, Devin Hester returning that opening kick for the touchdown.
Or
Just, dude, that's I had a ton of Bears of a ton of Devin Hester shit growing up. Just a big fat head on my wall. Um,
oh man,
Devin Hester jersey. No, it was awesome. But I think I mean, obviously, I'm a Bears fan because I grew up here. But like, the thing I love about it is just like it's vicious. It's like we're is very like there's so much and like the defense is
oh man,
I think like just a team that's that fucking like monsters. I think that's really cool. Just like getting to follow a team that's like absolute beasts. So that's why I love the Bears.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And following a team that's up and coming too, very up and coming team now.
Uh huh.
If you want
Yeah.
to get into like
Very
kind of
hip.
like your review of the season,
Hmm.
uh, if you want to go first, just talk about like what you think. Bears are 4-2 as we're recording this. After the bye week, but before the Washington game. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
So
what's your recap of the season so far?
yeah, we're at the halfway point. I mean, not really, but the bye week is bye section. We'll say it's the halfway point. Yeah, I'm
Almost.
I'm I'm really liking how the Bears are playing these days. I mean, like you said, they're an up and coming team. So if you're not a Bears fan, I recommend hopping on the bandwagon. You don't have to suffer through all the horrible times that we did because it's gonna get good. Please. So yeah, I recommend hopping on it now. But um, I really like how it's going. I think there were I mean, we talked about it at the start, like just there'd be growing pains, but we want to see flashes, and what we want to see the most is improvement, and that's exactly what we have seen. To the T, we've seen growing pains from the starts. We've seen flashes of greatness, like some of like his throws, like that throw to DJ or not
Yeah,
DJ
Williams, yeah.
to Keenan
Oh
the
yeah.
other week. Just the over the shoulder thing right in the basket. That was pretty special. Yeah, there's honestly like it. I'm really enjoying how Caleb Williams has been developing so far, which I mean is obviously the biggest part of this season. There's still a lot to
Right.
talk about aside from Caleb Williams, but I think like from the halfway point, I think like just analyzing how Caleb Williams is doing is like a good way to you know
Yeah, I mean that's
assess
going to
how
be
good he is.
I mean that's really how the season and the future is going to go. Is it kind of lives and dies with him. Like we already know the defense is good. I mean, I don't think the defense is like quite at the level at the peak of its powers yet. You know, we still have a lot of young players, but the defense isn't gonna win us a Super Bowl. Like it's gonna or get us far in the playoffs even, which I don't think Super Bowl is in the cards this year.
Mhm.
Um, but like this team goes as far as Caleb leads them, and we just want to see his growth and like what he's doing. So that's what I think has been the theme of the year this far is like his growth. It started off looking not good,
Mhm.
but you compare where he was at in the Titans game to where he was at in the Jacksonville game, it's night and day, and like it's impossible to project how much farther that's going to go. But I think this season has gone exactly as good as it could have. I mean, yeah, sure, Caleb could be throwing for 400 yards every game and like just be the best quarterback on earth. I mean, I guess that could have happened, but the growth and the trajectory, like we absolutely love to see it. Because at the start of the season, it was pretty doom and gloom after the first 2 weeks. I mean, we were 1-1. We barely squeaked by the Titans, and then the Texans, we couldn't do anything. And it's like, oh, geez, what's going on? Like, I thought Caleb was like supposed to be the promised one,
Yeah.
but now Caleb Williams just it's been up and up like throughout the whole season. He gets better each and every game,
Mhm.
and there's noticeable improvement each and every game, and that's so important because like, what does he look like this week after the bye week? You know, I'm sure he's been able to, you know, kind of think about what he's done the whole year throughout the year, and he's just gonna hopefully put it all together. I know Washington has a weak defense, so let's kind of get into this game against Washington. So like they have a pretty weak defense from everything I've seen, especially pass defense. Obviously, we took their best defensive player. You know, Montez Sweat
Mhm.
was their best defensive player. Now he's on our team. So I think we've got a really good shot.
Yeah.
Uh,
May I respond to your kind of the talk about
yeah,
the first half of the season? So, first off, like doom and gloom, like first 2 weeks, I was not on that train. I know there was a lot of it. I was not on that train. I was like, guys, chill. He's this is what we've been expecting. Um, I was not on the gloom and doom train. Um, but yeah, he did look bad. But I knew he'd.
right.
I mean, if it was like still bad, I'd be a little bit worried. But we've like seen a good amount. Dude, but the Titans game, like, man, he looked bad, but that game was so fun to watch.
That was
That was
wild.
a really
That
fun
was
game.
a very fun game.
Yeah, like, dude, Jonathan. There was just the defense. How do we had like what two defensive touchdowns?
Right.
That's
I remember I was at the game with my sister, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I know some dude, his wife is like, please just like put like I know you sports bet, so like just put $1 on Jonathan Owens to score a touchdown, and that dude's a millionaire now, and like his wife will never let him live it down. Like
that didn't happen. But I would that would be cool if it
someone
did.
out there did that. I
No,
swear.
it didn't. um, I don't even know if they would let you do that. I mean, I don't sports bet, but I know you do a little bit. But
I'm
well,
retired.
okay, yeah. Unless DraftKings wants to hit us up, but you know. um, but yeah, I guess we can talk about the Commanders game a little. So yeah, um, biggest thing like Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams. I'm honestly it's looking more and more likely that Daniels is not going to be starting.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I think it's obviously as far as narratives, it's something I think it's bad just for the TV. Like
Mhm.
I would rather Jaden Daniels start, even if it gives them a better chance. First off, I want to test our metal against a very quality opponent, which clearly Washington is, especially with Jaden Daniels. And also, I know it's not a thing like for the players, but as just a fan, it's like I want Caleb Williams to be better than Jaden Daniels. Like
Mhm.
I want him to beat that game, right?
Yeah.
I want the Bears to win and Caleb Williams to be better than Jaden Daniels. Of course I do. I'm a Bears fan, and I'm sure every Commanders fan wants Jaden Daniels to beat Caleb Williams. And so it's just unfortunate, I think, all around.
Mhm.
It's going to make the game less interesting. I mean, obviously, football is not just quarterback versus quarterback, but
No,
no one cares if Caleb Williams beats
Mariota.
Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
But I do think our defense, and this is something I've been thinking about, I think our defense matches up really well against them because I know a lot of what the Commanders have been doing is a lot of screen passes, which has been working very well for them. They'll do like short passes or deep passes, like kind of not a lot of intermediate is what I've seen. I mean, I'm not some film expert, but that's what I've seen just on the internet, people talking about what the Commanders offense does well, and it's those screen passes. But I think the strength of our defense is our corners and safeties are really good at tackling. I mean, Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, like those guys are excellent tacklers. Like that's like their main thing, I think.
I
Like
mean,
when I think of Kyler
you
Gordon,
brought
I
you
don't
brought
think
up
of.
both those guys. Are we sure they're going to be playing this Sunday?
I think they are. I'm not 100% sure. If they do, then I think we win almost for sure because they're such an important part of our
Yeah,
defense.
yeah.
But I do think the most intriguing match is Terry McLaurin versus Jalen Johnson. Which of course I think Jalen Johnson wins that.
Yeah.
I mean I've seen him shut down Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, so
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts about like how our defense matches up against their offense.
Honestly, I'm not a big film guy. I'm not exactly sure
Yeah,
how
me
I
neither.
how I'd exactly rate their schemes versus our schemes. But I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'm not talking about
think
this is like our players versus their players.
I know you said the Bears' defense is not at their full potential, and I agree. But I still think, like, as it is right now, I think the Bears are a top 3 defensive team in the NFL. It's a bold statement, but I think they're really good.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
I mean the defense is amazing. I don't know if I could name 3 defenses that I would rather have. I don't even know. I mean,
I know the Broncos are good.
Broncos have a very good defense.
Yeah,
Vikings have a very
yeah.
good defense. I mean, maybe the Chiefs you put in there,
I,
but I mean,
the Vikings do not have. We have better defense than the Vikings.
that's probably true. I mean, let me put it this way. I don't think we have the best defense in the NFL, but I don't think there's any defense that is clearly better than us. There's
Sure.
no defense that I could say for sure is better than ours.
Mhm. And
But I also don't
honestly,
think we're the best.
I mean, like, I don't think we're the best either. That's why I said top 3. But I think probably the Chiefs and maybe Broncos are above us. But what I mean, I think like, dude, Jaden Daniels versus our defense. I think it would have been very. I think we would have honestly like balled the fuck out
Oh yeah.
because the Bears' defense is completely unlike the defenses Washington has faced thus far. I mean, I don't think Washington has faced like honestly a very good defense at all.
They face Baltimore, who has a
Baltimore.
solid defense.
Baltimore's
I mean, they
defense
lost
has
that
been
game.
looking shaky.
Yeah, yeah, but Baltimore.
And
I mean, you
I'm
figured it
a
was a decent
secondary
team.
Baltimore fan. I like Baltimore.
Yeah, I watched that game with one of my friends who's a Baltimore fan,
Yeah.
a Ravens fan, and we watched it together. And it was scary at first for him, but
Mhm.
I mean, I think the Commanders clearly are. I think they're on the same tier of team as us this season. We're like, yeah, neither of us are a true top tier contender like
Sure.
the Ravens or the Chiefs or the Lions or whatever. But I think it's a good test for both of us.
Yeah.
Where the team that comes out on top, and now I think it's different if Jaden Daniels plays because it's truly a match of who's better. Without their quarterback, it's kind of a match of the Bears should probably win,
Mhm.
which in the long term is not a bad thing because I would say if Jaden Daniels plays, we probably have like a 55% chance of winning. Jaden Daniels not playing, I feel like we got like a 75% chance of winning.
Hmm. Okay.
Kind of deal.
The thing
Which
is,
is in the long term, good in the long term for the season because we need these wins.
the one advantage, Caleb, maybe not one advantage. I'd say probably one of the biggest advantages Caleb has over Jaden Daniels is that he's been tested by some
Right.
pretty good defenses already. The Texans defense, like,
Yeah, I
dude,
mean they.
the fucking guy got destroyed. Like what was that? 7 sacks in that game.
Yeah,
Like,
I was ridiculous.
yeah, Jaden Daniels has honestly not faced that at all yet. And what I think that the Texans games, like, honestly, that helped Caleb develop so much.
Right. I mean, ever since that game is when he's been just on an absolute tear.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's looked. I mean, honestly, something that I have not seen anyone talk about. The the biggest issue Caleb had in the first 3 games, he looked terrible in the pocket. He looks
Yeah,
so
I
much
agree.
more comfortable now. Like, it's like you like you're scared of skiing until you fall or something. Like once you like actually like experience like getting like sacked, once you get like destroyed, like you're like okay, I can handle this now. And I think he's like I feel like he's a lot more comfortable in the pocket.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and Jaden Daniels, I mean, I don't think like I mean, have you seen him in college? Like he got fucking ripped apart by college players. Like he he's been that's kind of the reason why he's there was some concerns about him is because
Right.
like he
Yeah, I
had a
know.
very small frame and he was a running quarterback. So like
Right. I know that was one of the big concerns about him is that he was injury prone and now
yeah,
he's hurt. Which
yeah,
of course, and it's like I said, I really hope he plays
hmm
because that's just a better experience as a fan
yeah.
and a better test for our team.
And dude,
But also
the
like,
I just love to shut the Commanders fans up about it.
oh yeah, exactly. That's the other thing is like, you know, if Jaden Daniels doesn't play, they're just gonna be like, oh well, we would have beat the Bears. You know, Jaden Daniels is still better than Caleb. Which
Yeah,
of course, if I was a Commanders fan, that's exactly what I would be saying, right?
yeah, the copium.
Like if Caleb wasn't playing this game and Jaden Daniels was, I'd be like, oh well, it doesn't matter if you guys beat Tyson Bagent, who's a killer backup, by the way. I'd be like, oh, Caleb's still better.
I
Just
don't know,
because
man. I if they beat Tyson Bagent, I'd be feeling a little bit hurt. I think Tyson Bagent's a goat.
oh yeah, I mean, talk about like such a valuable player, like as a backup,
Hmm
which is something I mean to get out of an undrafted free agent. I mean, like on this little side tangent, but like, I mean, that's such a valuable player because think about how many teams have backup quarterbacks who are just nothing. I mean, like absolute nothing burgers. I mean, I feel comfortable. Like if Caleb goes down for 4 weeks, we're gonna go 2-2 in those games. Like we're gonna be fine because you know Bajan's a dog. Like he's a great backup quarterback, great guy to have on the team. Um, he's better backup than I'd rather have him than Marcus Mariota as the backup. You know,
Yeah.
like
Although
even though like
Mariota balled out against one of the hardest defenses in the NFL, so
I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, I'd just rather still have Bajan as the backup quarterback
no,
than Mariota.
I'm making a little bit of a joke because of the
Why? Who did he
Panthers.
ball out against?
The Panthers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't obviously I didn't watch that game, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure Mariota looked like an absolute baller against the Panthers. I'm just absolutely sure of it. But it's gonna be a different story if he tries to target Jalen Johnson, which again I think is the marquee matchup of this game is Terry McLaurin versus Jalen Johnson.
Hmm
Um, which we've seen Jalen Johnson win these matchups before. Like, it seems like no receiver ever really has an amazing game
Yeah,
against Jalen Johnson,
yeah.
and I imagine he'll be like kind of shadowing McLaurin, and of course McLaurin's still gonna get his catches, but man, that's such a valuable piece to have on the team,
hmm
and like such a great leader on our defense. Like to have a number one corner, especially since we kind of lack the pass rush. It's like, yeah, some teams can beat us with those intermediate routes just because they can develop. We don't have that pass rush. But no number one receiver is just going to go for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns on it against us. It's
hmm
just not going to happen.
hmm
Like, Terry McLaurin is not going to beat us. Like, the Commanders might beat us, but it's not going to be because Terry McLaurin just absolutely owns Jalen Johnson. That just doesn't happen.
hmm I think we talked about Washington a good amount, and there's still a lot I want to get to.
Right.
I think like honestly, that's a very good starting point. Is the man Jalen Johnson, who I honestly think is our best player. Offense, defense, special teams. I think I think he's our best player.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean, I don't think there's really any argument. I mean, the only other player I would think could maybe be better is DJ Moore, but I mean, Jalen Johnson might be the number one corner in the league.
Yeah,
DJ Moore is not the number one receiver in the league.
no.
Like, even if you're the number one DJ Moore fan,
hmm
you know, you think he's like maybe he's top five,
Yeah,
but he's not number one in the
right.
league.
Yeah.
But Jalen Johnson, I think, is without a doubt a top five corner. I mean,
hmm
you can
Oh,
say like we
without a
got,
doubt. I'd argue number one.
that's what I think so too. Like you could
No
say like
doubt
whatever,
top five,
Patrick Lee,
definitely top three.
better.
I'd argue number one.
Exactly. I agree that he's the best player on our team, though,
Yeah.
without a doubt. And just the amount of times, like, I think it's like I said, every year, twice a year, he matches up against Justin Jefferson, and he handles his business
Hmm.
against probably the best receiver in the league.
Yeah.
And like, what better test than that to see like how good of a corner you are? Then twice a year, you got to go up against the best receiver in the league, and he handles that business every year. And he covers Amon Ra. I mean, Amon Ra never torches us.
Hmm.
And the teams that do torch our defense is the teams with a lot of good receivers.
Yeah.
Because if you just have one dominant receiver, you're not going to do very well against the Bears because we've got someone who can erase your best player.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. Like, I mean, against the Jaguars, Brian Thomas Jr. did nothing. He did nothing. Like,
Right. I saw like the stat where it's like all of his games this year, it's like 100 yards, 100 yards. It's like 2 catches for 20 yards against the Bears.
dude, he's invaluable, and I
Yeah.
think the snub on top 100 was insane. And I was not as
Right.
invested in the Bears last year as this year. Obviously, I
Hmm.
watched most of the games, but just wasn't as invested. Um,
This year's more exciting.
yeah, definitely. Dude, Jalen Johnson's such a dog, man. It's really great to have him.
Right. And it feels like that's such a great piece to build your defense around.
Yeah, yeah. I
Where
mean,
it's like,
honestly, our entire secondary, like, it's incredible. Like,
yeah,
the 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 only like downside to our defense is the line, which I'm gonna be honest, I think has looked better than I expected it to. But I mean, obviously,
100%.
I still think there's improvements to be made. Like, we haven't been
I think
going
that's the
against
biggest
the
surprise of the season,
yeah.
right? Has been the defensive line. Because
Mhm.
going into the year, I was like, I'm sure a lot of people wanted to sign Matthew Judon because it's
Mhm.
like, Montez Sweat is a great player,
Mhm.
but he's not like the type of guy who instantly makes your defensive line great. Like
Mhm.
he's not a true top flight defensive end. He's extremely good, but he's not going to be a 15 to like 20 sack guy. Like that's just not who he is.
Mhm.
So I was like, man, we need another, you know, great defensive end. But the emergence of Jervon Dexter has been incredible to watch.
Yeah,
He's just been the breakout player on our defense. He's
yeah.
been
I was just bringing up his stats. He has nearly a sack a week.
as a defensive tackle, like that's more than you can ask for. And our run defense has still been great, and our defensive line has handled business there. And then I also think we don't need to get as many sacks because of our secondary.
Secondary, yeah.
Like
Like,
we don't need to get that
take
many
take it
sacks because
take 10
yeah,
minutes,
like
bro. It's just running out the clock. Like,
yeah, you're not
you're all
completing
locked
anything.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, like
No, I agree. I agree. Like, I mean, we we keep them like held down long enough and down the field that, like, our line doesn't need to be as um, strong, but that does inevitably lead to the biggest weakness of the defense, which is the rushing.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I think we've still been solid. I think the Colts absolutely torched us.
mhm,
Jonathan Taylor.
yeah,
We were not doing so hot that game.
Kyron Williams kind of
Yeah, Kyron
put
Williams
put the
also had
heat
a
on
great
us.
game against us,
Hmm.
especially in the second half. Like we kind of got wore down.
Yeah,
But if that's the weakness of our defense, not good. It's not a good thing to have a bad rush defense. But
mhm,
all the best teams, especially in the NFC, are passing teams.
sure,
The
sure.
teams that we have to worry about, right? Yeah, the Lions might run all over us. That's going to be a tough
Hmm.
out.
Yes.
But the Vikings and the Packers are not really rush first teams,
Yeah.
right? At least when I think of them, I'm not watching every Vikings and Packers games.
Hmm.
But the strength of the Packers, I think, is Jordan Love, and they have a bunch of really good receivers, which is a bad matchup in and of itself. And then of course the Vikings, the strength of their team is Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we match up really good against the Vikings.
I agree.
I don't see a world where we win less than one.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
But I mean, I think the Lions are such a good team, dude. Dude, I think that's a good segue. NFC North. This
Crazy.
is
Crazy.
such a good division.
I think it's good that we have all of our games against them at the end of the year, though.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I
I
mean,
think that's
like,
an absolute blessing because if Caleb continues on this trajectory, then by the time we have all those division games, he's going to be ready for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if we played the Vikings or the Packers or the Lions week 1, it would have been horrible.
Yeah.
It would have been atrocious.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we had the Titans week 1.
Yeah.
Like,
Honestly, like I know I talked about the Texans being a blessing, but something you don't want is like brutal, 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 brutal. Like you need like, okay, yeah, I learned from this. Let me like test out what I've learned against some weaker teams. Let me build it up.
right.
And like I think like getting this, you know, pretty easy schedule like with a couple tough games mixed in for the first half of the season has been really helpful. And I think it's gonna like I think it'll turn the Bears into a really strong force in the NFC North.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think as far as playoffs, we need to get 10 wins.
Sure,
Which
yeah.
we need to find 6 more wins on the schedule. And looking at the schedule, I think our next 3 games are wins. So absolutely, we have to win these next 3 games if we want any shot at the playoffs, right? Because
yeah,
it's
I mean,
Commanders, and then
I wouldn't
Patriots
say
and-
you have to.
But
I mean, obviously, there's
we really should.
yes,
It's 3 games we should win. Commanders with their backup quarterback, Cardinals who are not doing so hot, and then Patriots who are not watching that game. They're watching the draft, right?
yeah. That's a good way to put
Right.
it. Um,
Absolutely. And then we're 7-2, and we come into the hard stretch. You know, those last 8 games are brutal. And if we win these extra games, then we need to find 3 of our last 8 to win.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's doable.
Absolutely. I mean, the 49ers aren't the juggernaut that
No,
people thought they were going to be.
no. Yeah, that
So
that was
that game all
the
of a sudden looks pretty winnable.
that was like the game on the schedule that was like.
It's like, oh,
But now, honestly, that's one of the easiest games on our schedule left. I mean, at least if
Yeah, right?
I mean, Brandon
I mean,
Ayuk is out for
they
the
have
rest
the
of the
worst
season.
after the Patriots game. I think the 49ers have the worst record of any team we play, at least right now.
Well, yeah, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't like looking at record too much when evaluating team strength.
Right.
But just, dude, injuries have really ruined that team. And maybe when CMC comes back, they get a little bit more juice in their offense, and I get a little bit more juice in my fantasy team. But right now, like that's if we played them tomorrow, we win that game. I think.
I agree. It depends on their health.
Tomorrow they're not going to be healthy.
Right.
That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
Will they be healthy when we play them? Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, Brandon Ayuk's done for the year, right? I
Yes,
think.
yeah. That's pretty definitive.
Not that
I
he would
think
get any yards on Jalen Johnson, anyways. But
so. Well, we wouldn't have him on Brandon Ayuk. We'd have him on probably Debo.
yeah,
But dude, I this isn't a 49ers podcast, but
No.
Brandon Ayuk story with him just holding out on the contract and now he's injured for the whole year.
not a good look.
Not a good
all
look.
around.
Not a good look. Like
Not good for the 49ers. Not
Anyway.
good for Brandon Ayuk.
anyway,
But-
not a 49ers podcast. Torrey Taylor, bro. Best fourth round pick. Of all
Yeah, I
time.
mean,
Maybe.
game changer. Actual game changer. He won us that game against the Rams.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean
I
like
mean, that was nuts.
he had one like I mean honestly like there was one game where he was like I had a horrible game like and he just kind of like played average punter, which is
Right.
crazy because that's like his like worst game is just an average game for another punter. 50-yard punts like but he rips like 65-yard punts like it's nothing and it's
Oh,
really
yeah.
special and honestly just having that like a full extra like 10 or 15 yards is so nice.
Especially when you have a dominant defense.
Yeah, and like in this day and age where like people are kicking field goals on every drive, if you can like 15 to 10 yards like that, it stops so many points. It stops so many points
Right.
just being barely out of field goal range because of Torrey Taylor. But yeah, he's an awesome guy. Like I love his Australian accent. I think he was
Right.
He's just
And it's
a
just
really
a great
fun
player
guy.
to have on your team.
Yeah,
Great player to have on your team. And like it makes a genuine difference in the games.
yeah. KB3, Kevin Byard. I think he's really good. I don't think he's like had super standoffish stats just because I think he's so good that like he's locking down a bunch of guys that no one's just gonna throw to them.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
I think
That's
he's
what I
like,
think. Quarterbacks are afraid of him.
yeah, yeah. I think like he's not talked about as much as Jalen Johnson, like, but dude, KB3 is really good. I think.
Yeah, and a great addition.
When did we
Someone
get
who
him?
we got him this year.
Oh,
Um, and I think a lot of people, including myself, weren't that excited. Where it's like, oh, we're signing this older safety who's kind of, everyone kind of thought his best years were behind him, but clearly he's been a difference maker, and he's been a great player on this defense. Again, it hasn't been a bunch of splash plays,
mhm.
but hey, if you're a defensive back and they're not calling your number,
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
yeah,
Like, that's what you want
hmm
out of a safety. Um, and again, even though he hasn't had a bunch of picks, it's not because
he's bad. It's not.
he's bad, right? It's because quarterbacks aren't looking his way. Because I'm sure on the scouting report or whatever, it's like, hey, don't test this guy. He'll make you pay.
Yeah,
Like, we know what he did in Tennessee. Like, he's a difference maker.
yeah. And I obviously didn't watch the acquisition of him too thoroughly. I didn't even know that he was a new addition, but yeah, no, he's really good this year. Um, Cole Kmet, dude, he's such a good tight end, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Especially
mean,
lately. Wasn't
definitely,
very involved at the start.
yeah. And I don't think that's his fault. I think Waldron, like, I mean, what is it? The first two games, like he was in 30-40% of the snaps. Like
Hmm.
that's not right. Um, but I mean, like I think Waldron has really stepped up his usage. And dude, best long snapper in the league.
Right? I mean, talk about clutch.
Mm, yeah, I
Like,
mean,
that is very, very clutch player.
there's no other long snapper that has had 2 touchdowns in a game. It's insane.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an awesome tight end. I think we're really lucky to have him, and I think he's gonna get even like a lot more looks, just as like he Caleb Williams has kind of like found the connection with him. Like honestly, I think that's been the most consistent connection that is formed
Hmm.
lately. I know he's like there's been games where like he's thrown a lot to DJ, thrown a lot to Rome. Like last game, threw a lot to 13.
Keenan, Keenan Allen.
Keenan, yeah, I don't know why I forgot his name for a second. But Cole Kmet, like, dude, he's been thrown to him a lot. I think he's a really good. I think he's gonna get a lot more touchdowns for us.
Yeah. And I think a tight end is just a rookie quarterback's best friend, right? Is something I've kind of
Mm,
heard a lot, and I think it's true because he's a big target. Often it's shorter passes and not as sort of like technical routes as with the receivers. And like Cole Kmet has just been awesome, and he's been reliable. Like that's I think his best attribute to Caleb is that he's been reliable, and just he's a big target. He knows. It seems like, I mean, I don't know exactly how big all the guys are, but I don't think he's like
he's
the
tall.
biggest tight end in the league. I mean, of course he's tall, right?
Yeah.
Obviously he's a tight end. But it feels like he really knows how to use his size
Hmm.
against smaller defenders,
Hmm.
which Caleb has been great at putting the ball where only he can catch it.
Yeah.
And it's been an amazing connection,
Yeah.
which has been sort of a surprise and I think underlooked because I'm sure when other teams get the Bears scouting report, it's like, don't let DJ Moore beat us, right? If DJ Moore gets 10 catches, we're cooked, which is true.
Hmm.
Other opponents, if DJ Moore gets 10 catches, you are cooked.
Hmm.
And it's like, and then on third down, they're going to look for Keenan Allen. Well, no, we're going to look for Cole Kmet, who's kind of an unsung hero of the team.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know how much longer he's gonna be unsung. But
Right.
yeah, definitely, I agree with everything you're saying. Good points all around. Um, yeah, I'm a big Cole Kmet fan. But so just wanted to take a little bit to talk about
Right, right.
him, who has honestly been one of our biggest producers on offense.
Yeah.
Some surprises I've had for this season. Darrell Taylor, dude, I didn't know he was gonna be this. I knew he was a dog, but like he's been a really good edge rusher.
Yeah, definitely a big surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I know we kind of like picked him up for cheap. Like I know like people were like, we got to get the best edge rusher in the league, but dude, Daryl Taylor has been putting up some really good numbers, and just
Yeah.
I think he was a bargain, and we're getting like 10 times what we paid out of him.
Yes, I agree.
I think they're. I mean, I think he can be upgraded, but I think like for what he is, like he's doing awesome.
Yeah. I mean, he's done everything you ask for out of a guy like that. And it's just a huge boon for our defense and I think it's part of Poles' plan to, like the long-term plan of, hey, we're not going to sign, a huge top flight defensive end because we need to save our money for whatever it is he wants to spend it on, whether it be, extensions for current players or signing free agents next year. And a good GM, what they do is they find value where others don't see it.
Mm.
And I think that's absolutely what happened with Daryl Taylor. And I also think it's what happened with DeAndre Swift.
Yep, I was
Who had
just
a
about to talk about him.
very rough start to the season and then has absolutely turned it on.
Yeah. I don't know if that's on polls for turning it on, but
Right.
yeah, I think he's looking really nice. He definitely has some flaws that Roshan can help cover up. Like he's not
Absolutely.
his yards after
After
contact
contact.
is not the best.
I mean, it's not his wheelhouse. It's not what
no, it's not.
it's not his strength.
Yeah, it's not. But yeah, he's had some really good moments, and I think it's honestly looking like a good move right now. I still think
Absolutely.
I honestly think next year we should be looking for a running back in the first round. But
Absolutely.
I think DeAndre Swift is doing really good for us right now. Um,
Yeah. I mean, he's been everything we could have asked for, especially recently. Again, a slow start to the season, but the whole offense had a slow start to the season. It's not really something you can hold up against a player where nothing was working.
Yeah.
So why would you expect just the run game to work? And then his explosiveness, I think, adds a great element to our offense. Where if we need it, 3rd and 1, yes, give the ball to Roshan.
Sure.
Like Roshan Johnson, he's the guy there. 1st and goal, just 3 times to Roshan Johnson, and we're gonna get a touchdown. But on every other down, I mean, he's always a threat to break it loose. He's a great threat out of the backfield, which is again another, great safety blanket for Caleb Williams, where it's like, hey, you never know if they send a blitz, you don't know where it's going, where it's coming from. Just dump it off to Swift, and maybe he'll make a guy miss and get a first down.
Mm-hmm.
He's a threat on every play to do that.
Yeah. On the other side of that, our other running backs, and I know we don't need no team needs 5 running backs, but Travis Homer, Velus Jones Jr., and Khalil Herbert. These guys have looked bad to non-existent. Khalil Herbert, non-existent. Velus Jones Jr. Gave up a fumble at our own 1 yard line on a kick or punt, and then broke Rome Odunze's leg, and then non-existent. And then Travis Homer, non-existent after just a really rough first game, and I think he got injured. But Travis. I don't know why I don't know why Shane Waldron was trying to utilize him so much. I mean, I know he's from
that was a bit
Seattle,
of a head pressure for me. I mean, again, the Seattle connection, and I'm sure you want guys who are familiar with your system on the team, which is fine. But I don't know, the running back situation has been a weird one this year because Khalil Herbert has been very good, but it kind of feels like they signed DeAndre Swift specifically to take Khalil Herbert's spot, right?
Yeah.
They didn't sign a power back. If they signed a power back, then Khalil Herbert would still be involved in the offense regularly. They signed a speed, shifty kind of home run back, which is exactly his role. And whether or not you think DeAndre Swift is better than Khalil Herbert, he's getting paid more, so they're probably going to start him, right?
Yeah.
That's a big factor. It's like he's our free agency signing. We're going to use him. We're going to make the most of the money we spent.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of trade rumors of Khalil Herbert. And
Mhm.
if I was sort of like a fringe contender that needs one more player that can bust open some games, I mean, I would trade for Khalil Herbert if he's truly getting shopped.
Yeah.
He's a player that I've loved the last few years. Like he's a great player,
Mm.
super exciting. And if I don't know, I think the Bengals are one of the teams rumored, and you need one more explosive playmaker. He can absolutely be that for your team.
Yeah. I think we're really wasting him by just keeping him on our bench.
Absolutely.
Um, I don't think he wants that. I don't think he really has a place other than just a backup anymore. Honestly, I mean, as much as that
Right, which
hurts
is
to say,
yeah,
um,
it's unfortunate. Like
I mean,
he is a starting quality player.
yeah,
It's just we signed DeAndre Swift. Maybe we should have. I mean, not cut him because again, he's a
no,
valuable
no,
player. He's a starter on so many teams, or at least
yeah, it's
a
like,
guy who gets snaps
yeah,
on almost any team.
yeah. I mean, Roshan, like, I'm very happy with Roshan, by the way. I
Absolutely.
think he's done a great job, and I'm really happy that we finally like started utilizing him.
Oh yeah.
I think it's very cathartic. But yeah, I think Khalil Herbert is just. I think we can get some good value from him. I think it's time to say goodbye to him.
Yeah.
Another guy,
Again, 'cause if I'm another team, I would make the move.
yeah,
I would sign him. He's a starting quality player. He's explosive. He's actually a game changer that you can get for a fifth round pick. And also, if we get a fifth round pick for him, I'm gonna feel like the Bears made a good move for both the team and for uh, Khalil Herbert.
sure. And we got Austin Booker for a fifth round pick,
Yeah,
and who's been very good.
yeah,
Um, a little bit limited, but I mean it's his first season. I think he's going to get more looks later in the season and maybe next season. I think Austin Booker is very good.
absolutely.
Now another one, perhaps Ryan Poles' biggest mistake, Nate Davis. Um, I don't think he's
Yeah,
very. I know, like last year, he was like had like a family issue or a death in the family, which is why he couldn't play that season. But this season, just not showing up for. I mean, rumors of just him not showing up for practice or just having a lousy work ethic. He's just not who we needed. He's not who we need.
right.
Um, and he's been healthy scratched, right? The
I'm
last
not
couple
sure.
weeks, or I mean, he has not played much though, and I don't
Yeah,
think
no.
like he's been very injured. Um,
Yeah, it's been kind of out for one reason or another, and just not a starting player that we've been using, which is unfortunate all around. The offensive line, if the team with the whole offense did not look good to start the year,
mhm,
but it's kind of gelled. It's kind of gotten better.
yeah,
Whenever they do give Caleb time, something special usually happens. So I think the line in general, of course, still needs improvement. I feel like every team says they have a bad offensive line, which is for the most part true. But we are definitely one of those teams that does not have a quality offensive line,
yeah,
and we do have to go back to the drawing board after this season to see what we need to do. Whether that's we draft an offensive lineman or we sign one in free agency,
sure,
we still have to do something. And I think that's the thing that's going to hold us back the most this year
hmm
is that we don't have a super high quality offensive line, but also we've seen a lot of improvement out of them throughout the year.
yeah,
First couple games, it looked bad. It was like, oh, geez, it's the same thing we put all our other quarterbacks through. But
yeah.
last couple
Caleb Williams
games,
is gonna need like to get workers comp after like the fifth game or
right?
something, but
But the last couple games, it's been looking a lot better.
yes, yeah. And also, I mean, they are against weaker defenses.
Or
And
you
we're
have
not
to
going
face a
to
true like
we're
pass
not going to
rusher.
see a really strong pass rushing defense for until after the Patriots, right?
Yeah, then it's got the Packers and the Vikings.
Yeah, who both have pretty good pass rushing defenses. But I mean, yeah, definitely improvement. Like, and you know, something like I've been thinking, like, you know, people are saying, oh yeah, they just won against the Panthers, they just won against the Jaguars, they just won against the Rams, the Titans. A few years ago, a year ago, like for many years, like we've been like saying like these are very winnable games, and we haven't been
And then
winning
losing
them.
them. Yeah, right.
Now we're saying these are winnable games, and we're winning them,
Right. I
which is
mean,
very good. Like,
last year we would have been like, so we would have split those games.
mhm,
I mean, we dropped a lot of games to teams we shouldn't have been beating.
mhm.
And does that mean that does beating those teams mean we're a great team and like a Super Bowl contender? Absolutely not. But does it mean we're a bottom feeder? It also means we're not a bottom feeder because we
Yeah,
are beating those teams.
yeah, exactly. And we're not just beating them; we're
Yeah,
doing
we're
very
kind of
well
smoking their
against
path.
them. Yeah, I mean the
Yeah.
Titans game was pretty close, and obviously the Rams game was close. But I mean,
But the
I
Rams, I
honestly
don't think
think
are a
I
bottom
think that
feeder.
the Rams are a good team.
Right. I mean,
I think this Vikings game tomorrow, don't kill me, but I think it's going to be pretty close.
it's gonna be an exciting one to watch.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I honestly think it's going to be pretty close. I know like the Vikings are huge favorites, but it's going to be exciting. But obviously, we're not a Vikings or a Rams podcast. We are a Bears
No.
podcast. So next big thing, future, future. Let us first talk about our schedule and win-loss predictions for each game. If
All right.
that's okay with you.
Yeah. Let's go through each game the rest of the year and say if we're gonna win or lose.
All right, awesome. Bears Commanders away.
So at Commanders, I think this is a win, especially with Jaden Daniels not playing. I'm gonna say we win 31-27. High
W
scoring
in the
game.
books. I think we're
W.
actually going to win probably about, mm, I'd say 28 to um 28 to 20.
28-20. Okay.
We're keeping under 21 points, you know, at least for now. I think the Bears defense can hold them. I don't think our
I would agree.
yeah. Cardinals
I think
away.
that's another W.
Yes.
So we're at Arizona.
Yes.
I think that's another W that you got to put in the books, because we've been taking care of these teams, like you said, like we were just talking about, is we're not losing to the bottom feeders anymore. I would say this one's going to be a bit of a lower scoring affair. I would say we win this game like 23 to like 17. Kind of my guess. I don't think don't think the Cardinals are going to have much success against our defense. We can shut down Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yes.
with Jalen Johnson.
I think this is going to be a
And
bit of a blowout. Honestly, I think it's going to be a 15-point win. So I think probably about 32 to 17, maybe, or 33 to 18. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know that much
Those
about
aren't
the
really.
Cardinals defense. So like, are they good or not? Probably not, because I don't know anything about them.
Yeah. No, not very good. Not a very good defense. At least from I haven't really watched any of their games this year, but every game I see them lose, they lose by a lot. So
Yeah.
I think just following that trend, I think we are also going to beat them by a lot. And like you said, Jalen Johnson can shut down Marvin Harrison, so that is not a big concern. Bears versus Patriots home.
I think this is another big win. Like I said, I think the Patriots are, at least the Patriots fans or whatever, are more concerned about the draft than they are about the games on their schedule.
Mm,
But this isn't just a game we can win; it's a game we absolutely have to win.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say if we lose this game heading into the strength of our schedule that our season feels kind of cooked.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Going against losing against the Patriots and then having to face the Packers, Vikings, Bears, 49ers, Vikings, Lions. I was just
Right.
going to say like the first three, but then it's all hard.
It
It's
keeps
all
going.
hard.
But I think we win that game. I mean, pretty handily. I mean, I think we win it probably like 30-20, something like that.
I think we win it like 28-3. I don't think they're
Just have-
scoring many points against us.
Yeah, I mean, what is Drake May going to do against our defense? Like,
Nothing.
you know,
Big respect
Now
to
we
him
get to
though.
the interesting games.
He's been looking good. He has been looking good. Um, I hope he gets. I like him. He seems like a good kid.
Yeah.
Packers Bears home.
At Soldier Field, I think this is as much as I want to be like, oh, we're gonna just beat the Packers. I think the team and Caleb specifically is not quite ready for the test, and I think we're gonna lose this game.
Sure. Yeah, I
I
also.
do think it's gonna be more on the defense. I think the Packers have an offense equipped to beat us
Mhm.
because they have a lot of depth at receiver and they have a strong running back. I think we lose this one probably something like 31-21.
Hmm. Yeah, I think we also lose. I think we lose like by a field goal or something. Maybe like 28-27.
Okay.
Something like that. Uh, Vikings Bears away. Or sorry, this is home.
At home versus the Vikings, I think Caleb has a bounce back game. I know everyone talks about how good the Vikings defense is. I think by that time there will probably be more tape on Sam Darnold
Hmm.
and how teams are going to attack him. I think our defense will be able to handle them. I think it'll be a low scoring affair. I don't think we're going to be able to score that much against the Vikings, but I think if it comes down to it, our defense is going to hold longer than theirs. And I think we win this game like 17-14.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, I honestly think I feel the same. I feel like um, I think maybe something happens. I think it's going to be like the Texans game, like seven, like low scoring game as well. But I think just in the other direction. I do think we're winning the next one though. Don't worry. Against the Vikings.
Yeah.
Bears Lions. This is away.
At Ford Field, I don't think we come out of it with a win. Um, I think the Lions are just, I mean, they're a true Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
I don't think we have the firepower to beat them. I think we'll be able to score, but I think it's one team that our defense won't be able to hold because their running game is just so good.
Yeah.
And when they need it, they don't just target Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have other great players. So even though we have a dominant corner, they're still going to be able to score on us. I think this is another high scoring game that we lose probably like 28-20, something somewhere in there.
Yeah. I think this is going to be kind of our first blowout loss. 31-10. That's my guess. Hopefully, obviously, I don't want that to happen, but Lions are not a
Certainly
team.
good.
They are not a team that we have faced before. I mean, like at
We're
least
just not on their level. I mean, we've
yeah.
had success against the Lions in the past, but I think a lot of that was because of Fields' rushing ability really tested their defense.
Hmm.
I think with Williams, we have a totally different offense that they'll probably be able to handle a lot better, even if it's a better offense overall.
Yeah. Bears 49ers. This is away.
Truthfully, I have no idea because again,
Yeah.
I mean, is Christian McCaffrey playing this game? Who the fuck knows?
He better be, bro.
Like,
Nah. I
like,
don't start players when they're against the Bears. So
who knows it about this game? I truly have no idea. I'm gonna say it's a loss for the Bears
mhm,
because I'm assuming McCaffrey's playing and everyone on their team is healthy.
sure.
But
Um,
this one feels like a true coin flip based on who's playing.
I'll be tails. Win.
Think we win this game?
Yeah. I just think the 49ers look bad, and they're looking worse by the day. But obviously it's a coin flip. They could be a completely different team by that time. But
Yeah. And also with their experience, they've been in the playoffs, they've been in these high stakes games
mhm,
before, which the Bears really haven't.
mhm,
And I think for both teams, this is going to be a high stakes game, and I think their experience is going to lead them to a win.
mhm,
But truthfully, this is the most unpredictable game on our schedule.
sure.
Just no clue if what's going to happen.
Okay. Bears Vikings. This is away. Or yes, away.
Part two against the Vikings, I think we come back and we make the series even. I think this one is definitely a win. I think
Double
the
even.
second time that uh, Caleb Williams gets to face this defense and our whole team, we get to figure out, hey, what issues did we have against the Vikings the first time? Let's make it better. Let's resolve the problems we have against this defense, and I think we come out with a win.
Double
I
even.
think
Yes. 28-21. Yeah,
I
I
think
think.
that's perfect.
Yeah. Bears Lions. This is home.
home against the Lions, I think we just don't have the firepower to beat them still.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think the Lions are going to sweep us this year. I think they're going to sweep everyone in the division.
yeah,
Like, they're the best team in the NFC.
yeah, yeah. I would agree. I think they're a very good team. I think this one's going to be a lot closer, though. Unlike
I
our
would agree.
blowout win, I think, or our blowout loss, I think we are going to lose by maybe a field goal.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree. And I think that would be,
I'd be
you
happy
know,
with that.
yeah, I'd be okay with that result. Of course, you want to win. If we go 2-0 against the Lions, hell yeah. But I think your assessment of first game against them is a blowout loss. Second game against them, we're able to keep it closer, but still not quite on their level.
Yeah. Hopefully, like by December 22nd, we have a very different team. I think Caleb Williams hopefully has developed a lot and like really has kind of taken control of the offense. I mean,
Right.
hopefully Rome. I mean, we have not mentioned his name at all. I mean, I
Yeah.
I think maybe like once, but um, you know, in a stacked receiving room, like I think Rome's a great player. He just hasn't been getting enough receptions, enough
Right.
targets. And I really hope that kind of is the biggest change by that point, the Rome Caleb connection.
Yeah. And that'll be a difference maker.
Yeah,
And wide receiver three matters a lot more than I think a lot of people think. Because
no,
also injuries happen. Because I remember I was talking with someone during the offseason, like, oh, we didn't need to sign Keenan Allen. We already have DJ Moore, and then we got Roma Dunze. It's like, oh, we don't. Why did we sign Keenan Allen if we were going to draft a receiver? It's like, well, if we didn't sign Keenan Allen and then DJ Moore goes down, all of a sudden we have Roma Dunze and no one else.
yeah,
So like we're kind of a little bit injury proof at receiver, where it's like even if one of these guys gets hurt, we still have two other dogs,
yeah,
who can still play.
yeah. All right. Bears versus Seahawks home.
At home, I think this is a win. I think the Seahawks are going to kind of run out of gas towards the end of the year.
Okay. I think they're a very
Um,
good team.
Seahawks, I think they're a good team. I think Gino is a great quarterback, but I don't think he has enough around him. Again, I think the strength of their offense is DK Metcalf,
Hmm.
and we match up really well against any team who has a great wide receiver one and not much else. We're we have a very favorable matchup against, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. I also think we're gonna win this. Christmas. The day after Christmas. A nice,
Hmm.
nice belated present. I think this will probably be a two touchdown win, maybe 14-28. Um,
Yeah,
Bears versus Packers, Lambeau.
at Lambeau, I think this is a game with a lot of stakes. I think this
Yes,
is I
I
would
think
say
this
this is a
is
win and get in game
yes for both of us.
for both of us probably. And what kind of Bears fan would I be if I think we lose that?
Absolutely, bro.
I
We
think we're gonna
gotta.
go into Orlando. January football. Essentially, it's gonna be a playoff game. We'll probably both be like 9-7. Winner makes the playoffs,
Mm,
and I think we're gonna absolutely stick it to the Packers.
yes.
Um, I think it's not gonna be close. I think we're going there. I think there's we can see Roma Dunze first of many Lambo leaps. Um, I think we win 34-20.
Okay. I think
Uh,
we are going to win 31-30. I think it's going to be a very close game, a very exciting one. That's just what I'm
yeah.
hoping.
That's same. This is not a game that I'm picking with my head. This is a game I'm picking with my heart. Um, I hope it's 49-0.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
nothing would make me happier than if we knock the Packers out of the playoffs and take their spot, which is
Yes.
what I think this game is going to be.
Hmm.
Because I think the Lions are going to have the division under wraps. I don't think anyone really disagrees with that. I think the Vikings have had such a hot start that they'll probably cruise into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like they
I
just have
don't.
so
I
many
think
wins
they're gonna.
already.
I think they're gonna lose a lot more. I think.
Agreed.
I think they're
But I
very
think that Week 18 against the Packers, I think without a doubt is essentially the first playoff game
sure.
where it's winner. Like if you lose, you're going home and,
Yeah.
your season's done. I really think that. And it's going to be tough, and it's going to be a tough game. And it's going to be the first true test of like, all right, Caleb Williams, all the chips are in. What can you do when everything is on the line? And so far, it seems like he's going to live up to those moments.
Yeah. And hopefully, after that game, we can have, obviously with some big coats on and some hats, we can talk
Yeah.
about, you know, how the playoffs are gonna shape out.
Right. No,
That
I
which
just
has
say
not has which has been a conversation we have not been able to have for a very long time.
no. But I will say, in a hypothetical scenario, kind of as like a last thing, we'll kind of wrap it up after this.
Yes.
If the Bears make the playoffs and you're granted, you're a magical genie says you get to go to the game. What game? Where would you want to see them play against any other NFC opponent? A division winner. We'll say for the sake of argument, the Lions are the 1 seed and they have a bye.
Yeah.
Where would you want to go to see the Bears play a playoff game against a team not in our division?
Where would I want to go? Um, let's see. Honestly, like I think a Buccaneers game would be super fun. I honestly like the Bucks a lot. I think that would be fun. I think maybe I think a Commanders Bears game, like a revenge game after the Commanders lose on Sunday. I think that would go pretty crazy. Yeah.
Can I tell you my answer? I think
What's
I
up,
got the
bro?
best answer. If I could beat I'm imagining that I'm in the stands, right?
Yeah.
I would want to go to Philadelphia and kick their ass.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good
If
one.
I
I
were
don't know
to
why
go
I
to
didn't think of it. It's because we don't
any
play them.
any away playoff game that's not a division one, Philadelphia for sure. Got to get
Yeah.
revenge for the double doink. You know their
Yes.
fans are going to be fired up.
Yes.
You're going to be fighting with their fans in the stands.
No.
Like,
And honestly, I do respect Philly fans, but
oh,
I
dude.
will be fighting them.
Oh, 100%. That's what they want. Like, they wouldn't have fun if they didn't get to fight an opposing
No,
fan.
no, they don't respect you.
Yeah.
If you just
Yeah,
take it, no, no,
that's the number one place I would want to go to see a Bears playoff game against a team not in our division.
that is a very good answer, and I will change my. Sorry for being a cop out, but I like that answer a lot. I think
Yeah,
the
think
double doink
or
revenge
the
game.
only other one, I would want to go to SoFi Stadium to see if the Rams win their division.
Hmm.
That one would be not like the fans or like the vibes, just like SoFi Stadium is fucking cool.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, I think that's about as much time as we got. I think this has been
Yeah.
a very productive episode. We've talked about the past, we talked about the present, talked about the future. Um, Obviously, hopefully, we're here next week. We get to talk about the Bears versus Commanders, how that game shaped up. This has been very large scope, but kind of this. Since we're starting this podcast midway through the season, we wanted to kind of give and off a bye week. We don't really have
All right, not
too
much to talk
much
about.
immediate stuff to talk about. We wanted to just give a big overview, past and future, but hopefully next week we get to, sit here with champagne and after a big win. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you've made it this far, hopefully we'll be here next week. We'll try to make this a weekly thing. We'll maybe get another guy on the podcast, but yeah, Sam, what have you got to say for them?
Bear down.
Bear down, bear down. All right. Good night, everybody.